What's up guys, I'm BTC. Control the flow of battle with the Omega Sector Omnic Technician, Ardal. This is the character concept that you guys voted for, and just like last time, I'm going to give you the opportunity to vote for the next hero concept as well. You can find more information at the end of the video. This character is linked back to the very first hero concept I made of Ares, which was created as an answer to the problems that the game had, namely GOATS comp, and that team comps were far too restrictive in how they worked, primarily because there is very little ability crossover among the heroes. What this means is that certain effects and abilities were available to only one hero, making that character required in order to have that effect. Whereas my design philosophy says that having multiple characters with similar types of abilities will allow for much greater creativity and variety among team comps. The hero creation method that I use for Ardal happens to be the same that I use for Ares, which is design the hero with specific abilities to fit a need within the game. For Ares, it was the introduction of more anti-heal in order to deal with the problem of GOATS comp that we had at the time, and while I have made anti-heal the theme for the Omega Sector group, I wanted to look at some other options of ability overlap that I could do with Ardal. The goals for Ardal are to create an Omega Sector healer, to focus on abilities over normal attacks, and to provide an alternative to Lucio, namely in the form of a group speed boost. Before the end of the first Omnic crisis, new designs were being constructed. These prototypes would be tested and then produced on a larger scale if successful. However, the war ended and the prototypes were forgotten. Some had never been activated, sitting in dusty rooms and waiting to be awakened. Yet others were still in various parts of the testing phase. One of these was a new type of technician. During the war, the Omnics put little value into fallen fighters, as it was often more simple to replace a destroyed unit. This strategy was extremely effective so long as the Omniums were functioning at peak efficiency. Only after these Omniums were attacked and shut down did the Omnics discover the critical flaw. You can't build more if the factory isn't working. Many of the battle-ready Omnics, like the E54s, had minimal self-repair functions, but clearly more was required. The Omnics needed a quick and efficient way to repair damaged fighters. The Ardal unit was designed to rapidly repair and move through a battlefield. The use of nano-Omnics allowed for even more flexibility. With the end of the first Omnic crisis, the Ardal unit, still as a prototype, had no significant purpose, but in this absence it found its own. Ardal would eventually find his way to King's Row in England. Although he arrived after the Null Sector uprising had already been defeated, tensions remained high, and the continued conflict between humans and Omnics provided a nearly constant stream of new subjects and materials. For many years below the streets of King's Row, Ardal perfected his nano-Omnics and became even more increasingly eager to prove life that is born cannot possibly hope to compete with life that is built. The opportunity arrived along with a summons from a recently revived commander of the Omega Sector. Ardal is an ability-focused character, which means that his normal attack and heal needs to be a little bit below average in order to compensate. His primary weapon is the Nano Forge. Type is a projectile, damage is 45, heal is 40, it cannot critical, the rate of fire is 1 per 0.5 seconds, spread angle is pinpoint, projectile speed is 70 meters per second, ammo is 10, and the reload time is 1.5 seconds. And now let's look at his abilities. The first is Disruption Pellets. Type is a projectile cone, damage is 20 for each of the 4 pellets, it cannot critical, the spread angle is 8, projectile speed is 70 meters per second, duration is 4 seconds, cooldown is 8 seconds, and the effect is 20% anti-heal per pellet, and the effect stacks with multiple pellets. The attack type is similar to what Genji has for his alternate attack, except Ardal has 4 and the spread angle is a little smaller. What this means is that if you're close, you can hit an enemy with more, and if you're far away, chances are you're only going to hit with 1 or 2. But because it spreads out, often you'll be able to hit multiple enemies with it. So it won't provide the 100% anti-heal that Ana has with her Bionade. Instead, you will be overall reducing the total amount of healing that the enemies can have. Which brings up another design philosophy that I have to make abilities effective, but not frustrating. His next ability is Chain Heal. Remember, Ardal's normal healing isn't all that great, which means that Chain Heal is the primary tool he uses in order to heal his teammates. The type is Targeted Heal. The heal is 125 and then 100 and then 75. The initial range is 25 meters. The jump range is 8 meters. The cooldown is 8 seconds. The effect is that the heal will jump to a nearby ally with the lowest HP twice. Just like with Repair Pack and Nano Boost, you target a teammate and activate the ability, it will heal that character for 125. Then it immediately checks within 8 meters of that character, and it will jump to the lowest HP teammate for 100 healing. Then it does it again for 75 healing. His next ability is the Accelerator Field. Type is an AoE buff, duration is 5 seconds, cooldown is 14 seconds, move speed is plus 40%, area effect is 10 meters, and note that players do not need to stay near Ardal after the initial cast. And that's because the buff is placed on each individual player. Accelerator Field is meant to provide an alternative to Lucio's Speed Boost. It's similar but not the same. In some ways it's stronger, in other ways it's weaker. Next is Ardal's passive Auto Repair. Type is passive, heal is 30. Effect is Ardal is healed when any ability finishes the cooldown. While it is possible for Ardal to be affected by the Chain Heal, it's not guaranteed because of the way the ability works, and also it's unlikely that Ardal will be in that 8-meter jump range. Also, because Ardal is an ability-focused character, I thought it would be interesting to build upon that. However, I didn't want the heal to occur when the abilities were activated. First, it would have been a little too close to what Doomfist has, and second, I didn't want players to waste useful abilities simply to get a small heal on themselves. The way Auto Repair is currently designed is players are encouraged to frequently use their abilities. As a result, they will get several small heals as the fight continues. Ardal's ultimate is Blight Zone. The quote is deconstructing for materials. Type is a thrown projectile that will create an AoE debuff at that location. Damage is none, duration is 8 seconds, area of effect is 12 meters, charge requirement is 2200, and the effect is that enemies take an extra 50% damage, and the debuff lingers for 3 seconds after leaving the Blight Zone. Support ultimates are generally broken into two categories. Either they provide healing and protection, or they provide utility, sometimes a mix of both. With Blight Zone, it is all utility. Unlike Baptiste's Amplification Matrix, this ability is not based on the location of your team, but rather the location of the enemy team. The enemy players can always try to leave the Blight Zone, but if it's an important location like a capture point, then they might not be able to. I really like this character. I think he brings a lot of interesting opportunities and allows for quite a bit of creative freedom when it comes to team comp variations. I know a bunch of people are going to ask, would the Accelerator Field stack with Lucio's Speed Boost, and would that be too much? The answer is yes, it would stack, and it might be too much, but there's an easy solution to that. Back when Blizzard first added the damage resistance effect, it did stack, and it turned out to be way too strong. So what they did was they limited the maximum amount of resistance any individual player could have, and if the Accelerator Field and Lucio's Speed Boost turned out to be way too much, then they could do the same thing, and simply make it so that each player has a maximum amount of extra speed boost that they're capable of having. It was nice to be able to make a new character that was linked back to the first hero concept I made, but looking back at Ares, I don't exactly like the way he was designed. First of all, he was made to counter goats, which is no longer a thing, so there are some inherent flaws in the character design, and I'm probably going to end up reworking Ares. If you'd like to check out the original Ares character design, or any of the other character concepts that I've made, there'll be a link for that down below, but now's your chance to help choose which character concept gets released next. Check them out on the screen, and let me know which one you want to see down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to be comment of the video, then leave yours, and while you're at it, ring the bell so you never miss a new video. Also, if you want to get some cool gear, join my Discord server, or follow me on social media, then check out the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.